The study of light is broadly classified into two branches. One is ray optics and the other is wave optics. We have already completed the ray optics, which is derived from the principle of rectilinear propagation. It says light always travels perfectly in a straight line. That is the reason which can explain clearly the phenomena of reflection as well as refraction. In that study, we have examined various properties of light through reflection as well as refraction. Having completed the study of ray optics, we can move on to wave optics, the second concept. Before getting to wave optics, let me brief you on the theories of light which have been developed over the decades by the scientists while studying light. These are the theories developed one after the other. The first theory by Newton. It is known as corpuscular theory. He said every source of light emit some kind of particles. They are known as corpuscles. And he characterized those particles as very tiny particles carrying no mass and perfectly elastic, and they travel at extremely high speed. That he characterized. And also the particles what they emitted in the form of stream, that is stream of particles, after emission from the source, they always travel in straight line. That is the reason these are the corpuscles, bounces when there is obstruction. Reflection, the phenomena. In some cases, when the stream of particles enter from one medium into other medium, there must be a deviation like this, change the direction of the light, refraction. This corpuscular theory, satisfactorily explains both reflection and refraction, but there are some other phenomena of light which is very important. Those are interference, diffraction and polarization, which cannot be explained by theory. It requires new theory. A new theory, that is a theory of wave, is developed by Huygens, and this wave mechanics or wave theory, the idea of wave, the wave concept, the first, it has come from our daily life, daily experience, in our daily observations. One such observation is the surface disturbance of water. Let me give a brief description about this. Let us drop a stone into calm water. It may be the calm water of pond or lake. What is calm water? It is also known as still water, undisturbed water, where we cannot see any kind of visible waves or flow of liquid. It is completely at rest, calm. Surface of water as well as water in the deep. When you drop a stone into it, upon hitting the surface, one can see the following physical changes. What are these physical changes? It generates concentric wriggles are generated. Concentric wriggles are generated and keep expanding outward. There is a physical change. What are these concentric wriggles on the surface? The surface layer of water was plain and changes into wave-like structure. Geometry of the surface changes from the planar into wave-like, that is circular or wriggles, concentric wriggles. Wave, the surface is up here, surface is down here, all around. Surface is up here, what I explained. Same phenomena here run. Surface layer, that is pushing up, what is that? Moving up, now moving down. But in the same what, in circular shape. Here in circular shape, here in circular shape. Only up is wriggle, you can see that. Down. The layer of molecules on the surface. Water molecules on the surface. Now look. Bobs up, bobs down. Bobs up, bobs down. Bobs up, bobs down. That is oscillation. Wave-like oscillations are produced on the surface by the layer of water molecules. So layer of water molecules changes in geometry like this. What is that? Initially it was a plane, changes into what is that? Layer, up and down, up and down, wave-like structure. Wave-like structure on the surface of water. It appears as if the water molecules are moving away from the point of impact. But it is actually not water molecules moving away. It is a wave that generated by the material is moving away from the point of impact. That can be verified clearly with taking any light material like a leaf or cork which is floating on the surface. If you place a leaf or cork on the surface like this, during this process, that leaf or cork bob up, bob down, bob up, bob down, bobs up, bobs down, bobs up, bobs down, but remain at the same position. Remain at the same position. That can be verified. So it is verified that material is not moving. Material, it may be a leaf or water molecules under that. Not moving, only waves are moving. It appears as if the water molecules are moving. It is not water molecules on the surface, it is a wave that is generated on the surface of water is moving away from the point of impact. It is of course the surface phenomena of water that is supporting that. The surface molecules of water exactly behave like elastic membrane. It is because of surface tension of water. Usually the liquid water has a very high surface tension. The surface molecules, that is due to surface phenomena, each molecule on the surface it is pulling away sideways as well as downways. That is the reason layer of molecules behave like a stretching membrane or elastic membrane. When you hit the membrane, that membrane will exhibit what is that? Stretching forward, stretching back and forth, generating wave. So that is the reason the waves are generated on the surface of water. It is also because of surface tension and also because of the phenomena. What is the phenomena? The impact of the stone on the surface. What is the reason for this generation of wave on the surface? It is The dropping stone, it is moving downward. You know that any body which is moving always carry energy. It is called kinetic energy. This dropping stone possesses kinetic energy. Upon impact, most of the energy is transferred. What energy? Kinetic energy is transferred from the stone into the surface. That is a layer of water molecules on the surface. There is a layer of water surface, which is then carried. So it should be transmitted. How it is transmitted? Not in the form of material, not in the form of water molecules. It is in the form of waves, thus generated by the layer of water molecules remaining at the same place. That is why wave generation. Why wave is generated? To carry a kind of energy from one point to other point. So energy what is transferred will not remain kinetic energy. It should be transferred, it is transmitted. How it is transmitted? It is transmitted uniformly in all the directions, but on the same place, across the water. Plane, confined to a plane, one plane in all directions, uniform. And that is why we get concentric riggers. Concentric riggers. This is how the energy can be transmitted in the form of wave. It is a materialistic wave. Material support to generate waves and transmit wave. That has been experimental evidence of this. Two-dimensional. That is. The same idea can be extended to the transmission of light energy in the space. Let me take this point as a point source of light. Point source of light. And we can assume the sun in our solar system as a point source in the solar system. So, what happens when the point source like this? That will emit energy. What energy? Light energy. It is spreading uniformly in all directions. It is sending energy uniformly in all directions in the space. It is confined to 3 dimensions. Now, light energy, spreading of light energy is 3-dimensional concept. In all directions, spatial propagation is a spatial propagation. It is planar propagation. The energy transmission is limited to 2 dimensions. Energy transmitted to 3 dimensions. In this case, the circular wriggle, that is circle, we get circle on the plane, circular shape, circles we get. But here, what we get in 3 dimensions? In 3 dimensions, we get a circular light. What kind? 3 dimensions? Sphere, spherical shell. That is why we get spherical shell. Spherical shell. So instead of what is that? The same thing, what is the drawing is same, but you represent here, it is to a planar circle. It is a spherical shell. 3 dimensions. How about it now? A spherical shell. One more spherical shell. One more spherical shell. It is similar to the vibrations or oscillations produced here. Here in 2 dimensions is 3 dimensions. The light energy that is come from here set the molecules in the material to oscillate in 3 dimensions. That is bobbing up, bobbing down, bobbing up, bobbing down, bobbing up, bobbing down. Oscillation in 3 dimensions. But the material remains same at the place. But only produces oscillation. Changes its oscillation from the equilibrium positions. Oscillated one direction, other direction. Certain oscillation like this in 3 dimensions. That is why the wriggle The regal is a spherical shell. Here, concentric shells are numerous and expanding outwards. Concentric shells, one after the other. Concentric cells, one after the other, expand and keep expanding outward. This is how light energy is spreading from the source in all the directions in the space in the form of concentric regals or spherical shells. Actually, energy, the kinetic energy is transmitted from this point to this point. That is high energy oscillation. Light energy transmitting from here to here at faster rate, of course, generating a spherical shells like this. That is what the concept. That is, Huygens proposed this theory. It is this kind of oscillation while the light is spreading in all the directions. And he said, what is that? There must be a material support, material media support. Like here, surface of water molecule is a material media for supporting the transmission of kinetic energy. Here, there must be a material medium for transmitting light energy into the space. That is, material what he defined as some hypothetical material. It is called as an ether. In accordance with this Huygens, he said some ether medium, ideal medium. What kind of material should support for the generation of wave and transmission of wave across the space? That material, he said, ether medium, he said that it should be highly transparent, highly flexible and massless. he said every space, it was not that knowledge. He said every space is filled with that material or ether medium, he said. But that was a drawback. Why? Most of our space is empty. That is inverse. Even then, the light energy is transmitted. But he said material media is a must for the transmission and generation of the wave. But there's a drawback. Later, it has been modified. The wave theory has been modified by Maxwell. It is called as electromagnetic theory for the transmission of wave in the space. Here it doesn't require material media. Even in empty space it is covered. Later we will discuss it. And of course it is further modified. Requires modification again. There was still drawbacks. It is modified by another theory, Planck's quantum theory. And one more final modification. It is quantum theory, modern quantum theory. It says that every wave has both wave character and particle character. Every energy like that has both wave character and particle character. It should be accepted. Final acceptance. Now come back to this concept. Each one is spherical shell. Spherical shell. Spherical shell. Here vibration at this maximum vibration. At this place minimum. There is back. Again now. And the Huygens proposed, said that each spherical shell, we call it as wave front. Each spherical shell, we call it as wave front. Wave front means, what is meant by wave front? In this case, wave front is three-dimensional spherical shell. But in this case, wave front is circle. That is only two dimension, wave front. Circle, circle. What is meant by wave front? Wave front means, according to him, all points on that wavefront. It is spherical shell. Spherical shell. If you take any point, all the points on the wavefront, here circular line, all the points of the circular line, right, in the same phase. What is meant by same phase? They remain at the same distance from the center. Any point on the spherical sphere will remain at the same distance from the point source where the energy is generated. Thus, called as wavefront. It is circular wavefront, it is spherical wavefront. Very first, it generates a wavefront like this. It is called as first wavefront. First wavefront. After the first wavefront is generated, it here doesn't require energy is transferred here to this wavefront. This doesn't require to propagate here. This wavefront will in turn generate this wavefront. How does? This is come to this point. This is the point here. First wavefront. Every point on the wavefront have the same energy. They have what is again the vibrate, oscillate, and oscillate like that same point here, this point. So all these points behave like this point, but these points are secondary source. Every point on the wavefront behave like a secondary source of energy. Here the primary source of energy passing on to this wavefront, and this wavefront, every point on this act as a secondary wave, produces their own wavefronts like this, small that is called wavelets. In this case, circular line, in this case, spherical shell, again small spherical shell, small spherical shell, small spherical shell, small spherical shell like this. And these wavelets, what is that, are generated by the oscillation about the point on the wavefront. And this will generate the second wavefront or new wavefront. How it is generated? The geometry says, let us draw a tangent to these wavelets. The tangent is common for all of them. Then kind wave get a spherical wave like this, a circular wave like this, a spherical shell like this, one more spherical shell around it. We are tangent about this. It is called as new wavefront. Now energy is from here to here, new wavefront. That is a new wavefront. So like this, it is repeated at faster rate. This will turn, that is generate the another wavefront. Next, here after this, now in the same kind, what is that? The second wavefront. Every point on this wavefront behaves like a secondary wave or tertiary source, and they generate their own all the wavelets, spherical wavelets, and all of them together produces the another wavefront, the third wavefront like this. The third wavefront. This is the concept proposed by the Eigen. What is that? First wavefront, then second wavefront, which is generated by the wavelets. That is, wavelets and wavefront, the terminology is introduced. It is in the material media, it is polarized. Wavefronts are generated and expanding outward in the space to infinite distance. So finally we have an infinite number of wavefronts. That is how the light energy is distributed to the space to infinite distance in the form of wavefronts, one after the other. That is the concept of Eigen's theory. But drawback is that he said material medium is a must, which can support material media which can able to support, generate the oscillation and transmit the oscillation to carry energy, light energy from the point source to the entire three-dimensional space. That was a drawback. And wave concept can be accepted, but that material media can be rejected. It is later clarified by this. And finally, once a geometry of wave like this generates, here in the form of linear expansion, these waves, these oscillations, the geometrical shape of these oscillations, it passes through as it passes through space and time. It is a geometry of oscillation. I said geometry of oscillation in 2 dimensions or 3 dimensions. That is a geometry of oscillation. As it passes through space and time, like this, it requires a mathematical equation. The very best one is a trigonometry function of sine or cos. Using sine, therefore it is a sinusoidal wave. So best description by this equation, y equals a into sine of kx plus omega t. Of course, this is called as phase of the wave. This is the phase at the time. And when it is here, this is the phase at the time t. It changes distance, varying from here to here. The phase of the wave or wavefront. In this, we know that already A. What is that oscillation? Displacement or equilibrium. But material remains in oscillation, displaced back and forth like this. Back and forth like this. So maximum displacement or amplitude is called as it is constant for a wave like this. A, and here kx plus omega t. What is omega? It is the angular velocity. Omega is the angular velocity. Angular velocity means how fast the wavefront is moving away, how fast the waves are generated, frequency, how fast the cycles are generated in 1 second. That is the frequency, related to the frequency. So it is 2 pi is for one wave. Omega equals 2 pi angular velocity, how fast it is moving away. And x is what is the linear displacement. Y is oscillation displacement, up and down, vertical displacement, oscillation, and x indicates linear displacement of the wave or wavefront. So one wave there is one wave, other wave is another wavefront like this. X is linear displacement of wavefront from the source at time t. At one time, the linear displacement of wave, the first wave is this. At another time, that is time is different. Linear displacement of wavefront, it is bigger wavefront. It is here, linear displacement. So linear displacement increases as the wavefront generates more and more and moving away at different times. We say that x is a linear, the distance between the wavefront and the point. X becomes more and more and more as time increases. As it passes through time, while passing through space, so this will be bigger and bigger. That is why we say x is the linear displacement of wavefront with respect to time. And what is scale? Wave number. It is given by 2 pi by n. Wave means waves are, how waves are packed. There are more number of waves or less number of waves. It depends on the wavelength. That is, scale is a constant. Remember, in this equation, A, K and omega are constant for a wave like this. And variables are x and w. And this variable is uniform variation, x and y variation. And x and t are the variables. With time, wavefront go away from the source of point, taking energy to the infinite distance. That is what the items explained in the form of wave should be accepted. But there is a drawback. That is what I said. So they are completing this. Thank you.